Hello, class. For this activity, you're going to need both sides of these two worksheets. Why did Zorna pour ketchup on her brother's hand? And you'll also need the other worksheet that has the 8 different graphs. So let's take a second here to zoom in and take a look at what you need to do with this. So on this worksheet, what we're going to be doing is looking at this number 1, the y equals negative 2x. And what we're going to be using is these values over here for x to plug into our equation and get ourselves some values to plug in. So what we're going to end up doing for each of these blocks is really just saying y equals negative 2 times 1. So what that's going to be is y equals negative 2, because negative 2 times 1. So what we want to have is the answer in there with y. When we look at the 4, what we're going to do is just the same thing, is just plug in negative 2 times 4. So what we're going to find out is the y equals negative 8. And we're going to continue this process for each number. Y equals negative 2 times negative 5. So y is going to equal 10. So we can plug in 10 there. And lastly, we could plug in y equals negative 2 times 3. So that's going to be negative 6. And plug in our negative 6 there. Might want to just make a quick check to find, hopefully make sure that all of these numbers are also going to match up over here in the side. So it looks like negative 2 is h. So what we can do is go down there for number 1, plug in an h. Looks like our 2 was negative 8. So it looks like we can find that right there with e. Plug that in. So if we're going to kind of keep track along the way, we're going to look for a 10. So we can find that over there at O. We can plug in negative 6. We can find over there as a B. And so forth. Now, once we get all of these points, the second thing is we're going to, that's just to kind of find our answers. But the important part here is we're going to be looking at these XY points just like our ordered pairs. So each one of these XYs is really just a pair. 1, negative 2. So we're going to do the same thing with those 3 other points. And now what we can do is focus on graph 1 to match up with table 1. And what we're going to do is plug and put each of those points in. So if we go over 1 and down to negative 2, that could get that first point. If we go to a positive 4 and down 8, what we can do is get to that second point. And we go to negative 5, 10. So it's going to kind of take us in that opposite direction. And we're going to do that for point 3 and point 4. So now what we should have is 4 points on a line. And that's what we're going to go from there. Now this will kind of turn into more activities down the road. What you may see on the answer sheet if you check is what we would then do is extend a line through all of these points. And like I said, we will talk more about that later. But for right now, what we want to do for the rest of this worksheet is practice plugging in those points. Once we get those answers as we evaluate, they do turn into those ordered pairs that we do want to end up on the graph. So we should get those 4 points, fill in our puzzle, and, finish that up and have a good class. All right, have a good one.